Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dog Co Secrets podcast. My name is Michelle Kline. I am your host, and I am also the founder of Dog Co Launch, where pet care companies come to grow and scale. Today's episode, I want to dig into 5 things that I did not believe 5 years ago, but I do believe now. So let's get into it. Let's go back in time. Let's look at where was Michelle 5 years ago. So I was a couple years into owning my pet care business. We were coming off of the pandemic. My company was growing really, really quickly. So my team size had gone from, 2021, we were probably at 15 or 16 people. And we came into the pandemic with 8. So we essentially doubled from 2020 to 2021, and it was a wild ride. That's where we're at. And I would say 2021 was a hugely pivotal role for me as an entrepreneur. I would probably say the same, actually, 2021 up until 2026. Every year feels like it's compounding with like speed and lessons and growth, which is why I think within 5 years, there have been so many beliefs that have transformed for me so quickly that I actually had a lot of fun writing the notes for this episode because I was like, wow, this really taken me back. Okay, so let's dig into it. The first belief that came to mind from 5 years ago that I definitely do not believe now. At the time, coming out of the pandemic with how quickly my business was growing, I thought it was luck. Now, I'm not saying it was skill because it definitely was not. And there were areas that I did get lucky. For example, medical clients already were the main avatar for my business coming into the 2020 pandemic. I will say there were reasons that I had picked medical. Like I liked how stable the medical field is. It's the type of workforce that's always in person. There's like telehealth, but like overall medical is kind of a drawing force into a city rather than an expellent. So I liked that. So there were reasons that I had picked medical very intentionally. Obviously, no one knew what was coming in 2020. I came out of 2020 into 2021 fully believing, like, God, I just got so lucky. Like, all of this was due to chance. And looking back, again, there were a couple of areas I was really fortunate going into the pandemic, but the main area that I now see got us through the pandemic as a business and led to all of the growth was that I had invested really heavily at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. So really Q4 2019 and Q1 2020 before everything went to hell. I had invested very deeply in understanding the data inside of my business. If you're ready to take your pet care business to the next level, then I want you in the room at the Dog Co Business Summit, October 2nd through the 4th in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We have brought together the very best speakers we could possibly find, and we are getting the best companies in the room to help give you the path to grow and scale your pet care business. Go to dogcosummit.com to learn more. And so when the pandemic hit, I was able to make really quick and really strategic decisions that panned out really, really well. That if I had not had the data insight to my business coming into that event, the business would have crumbled. Because it definitely informed the decisions that I made. It informed like the way I approached our service lines, the way I communicated with our clients, who I chose to prioritize, deals, promotions, the way that I marketed, like everything in that window. I'm thankful that I had a season as a business owner that taught me this skill. I think because everything in the pandemic was happening so quickly, and I felt, everyone did, like, man, I am just flying blind. Like I am not a public health expert. This is all new territory. And so in that moment, I had nothing to do but go back to the data. That now is a belief that I hold so, so deeply. Like I really don't believe in business. The primary driver of what happens is luck or chance. If we take the time to look for the data, to understand the data, there's always a path forward in your business. Always. That just wasn't something I understood at the time. I definitely had more of like a kind of back foot posture of like, this is happening to us. Don't get me wrong, pandemic did happen to us, but the way the business responded to it and what happened after was within my control. And the data gave me the hooks I needed to see how to manipulate in a positive way the business in the direction I needed it to go. So in hindsight, that specific experience is when I became so focused on data as a construct within business to the point where now that sounds silly to say out loud, but it did not come intuitively at the time. It's still something that I have to put a lot of intention around, but I believe in it very deeply in a way that I did not then. Okay, so that was belief number one, the belief in data and the belief in data to impact our decisions positively within our business. And the way that I saw that pan out in my own and have continued to ever since. Okay, the second belief that I did not believe 5 years ago, and I do now, is that giving feedback is kind and necessary for people to succeed. I have always been bought in on the idea of feedback as a construct in a very logical sense. It makes sense that you need feedback to know if you're doing well and to know how to improve. I had this emotional disposition to feedback, especially when I was a very new business owner, but really this belief was very persistent for me that feedback was almost a necessary evil. Like it wasn't a gift, it wasn't a kindness, it wasn't part of me leading other people. Was this like art delivery of feedback and coaching? I saw it as I have to give you some feedback. Like that was always my disposition to it. It made me a much poorer leader. Interesting. I didn't see this theme when I was writing out these topics before, but the overall theme between both of the topics that I'm bringing up is I was a much more reactive business owner. I wasn't proactive. So I saw feedback primarily at the time as a way to stop poor behaviors rather than a way to get people to perform to their absolute best. That disposition, I think, created a cycle of feedback where it was usually driven around conflict. It was usually driven around conversations on performance. And it normally was coming after people had already messed up rather than helping them proactively get to the level of success that we both wanted to be at. So I now see feedback still as necessary, but as this like proactive engagement in somebody's success. And when you shift to see it that way, it's like, oh my God, like I would be so cruel to withhold this feedback. If I see it and I know they need to change behavior to succeed here, and if I choose not to give them that feedback, that is cruel. It is a kindness to show them the reality of what's happening and to help them grow to that next level. And that's been a huge shift for me. Third thing that I did not believe, but now I do. I have grown to see myself much more as a product than I used to. So what do I mean by that? I talk a lot in Dogco about the idea of inputs and outputs. Whenever we are looking to do something in our business, we need to define the inputs, so the actions that will get us there, and the outputs are the result of that. And those are the things that we measure. Well, we measure both, but those are the things that are the outcome of the inputs that we put in. So we actually need to have a really disproportionate focus on inputs rather than outputs. And a lot of people, so to give you an example, focus on the opposite. They focus on what happened, not what they did to make that thing happen. It takes a kind of reorganizing the way you think about things as they happen. I have come to see myself as a series of inputs and outputs. To give an example, like health related. If I want to feel good, operate at my best, feel really energized, reduce my anxiety, because I tend to be an anxious person, the inputs there are eating healthy food and getting enough exercise and going to bed on time and reducing alcohol because I know it's going to mess up my sleep and make me more anxious. And so learning over the last 5 years, I've really started to see myself as like a product, not in a robot kind of way, but something that I need to measure inputs. I need to be really focused on the inputs and tracking them and making sure they're of quality. if I want the output of myself that I know I am capable of. That's been a big shift for me, is learning to think in terms of inputs and outputs when it comes to me as the product that I am looking to improve and grow and bring cool things into the world with. So, all right, number 4, especially when I was a younger business owner. So I've been self-employed for about a decade now. The first 5 years, I count. I count. The last 5 years, I disproportionately count a lot more. And there's been a shift in the last 5 years of the way that I value resources. The first 5 or 6 years of being self-employed, being a business owner, I was heavily focused on financial security as the biggest resource available to my business, like the cash flow in and out. That is still important. That is the lifeblood of the business, is the cash flow and the profit. I have come, though, to see my time as the most valuable resource to the business. Like if we're looking at going back to inputs and outputs, the way that I categorize and use my time is the biggest and highest leveraged input that I could have. Cash flow is the output. That's like, what happens based off of where I put my time. So the way that I utilize my time is a lot more important for me to focus on and a much higher value resource. Now, yes, we can re-leverage money and deploy it back into the business for investment, for speed, for growth, like all these things. Those things are still necessary. Helpful, I should say, maybe not necessary. However, I have come to realize that the biggest leverage that I have is the way my time is deployed. And that's been a new belief for me. All right. And then finally, this is the biggest belief shift that I have had. I am not innately bad at anything in business. There are just areas that I am less practiced. And if you've been in Dogco for any point of time, you know that one of my favorite sayings is, I am not bad at, I am just unpracticed. I ask clients to reshape their own thoughts when they start talking in skills in terms of things that they are not good at. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at data. I'm not good at people or leading or my team. It's an opportunity for practice. And for me, that is not lip service. That really is a belief shift that I have had. When I first started in business, I was like, I'm not good at systems. I am just not good at them. I might have innate and natural preferences to what I like to do, which therefore I have then practiced more often. When it comes to underdeveloped skills that I have as a business owner, that is an issue of focus, time, and attention. That is not an issue of I can't do it. I've really tried to let go of that framing because I do not believe it serves me. I do not believe it serves my clients. I think it's a very limiting belief, and I feel that I see it much more clearly over this course of time than I did 5 years ago. So I hope this is helpful. I'm curious what beliefs have changed for you, and I would love to know if this style of episode is serving you. So give me feedback, drop a comment on social media, and thanks for listening.